guys, and welcome to Betwixt the Books. We are here to do a joint review for you today, and to nail one of our reading challenges right off the bat, we are reading and reviewing an arc on time. Today we are going to be talking about Electric Idol by Katee Robert. If you don't know, this is the second book in her Dark Olympus series, which is a romance series retelling a bunch of Greek myths. Most people will know the first book of this, Neon Gods by Katee Robert. This was very popular last year. Gretchen actually has a review of this one up on the channel. That is one of our more popular videos from last year. I also read this book, but I did not do a review of it. So you can go see her full thoughts there. I'm going to give a brief overview of my thoughts on this before we talk about Electric Idol today. I really enjoyed this. I liked this better than the Hades x Persephone series by Scarlett St. Clair that we also did a review of last year. If you're looking for a Hades and Persephone retelling, I would recommend this one, although this one is definitely dark. It has a lot of kink in it. They're not gods in this story, they're just people in a city. It's a little bit nebulous, the lore that happens in here. Essentially all of the Greek god positions, the Olympic positions, are titles that you can hold in the city where you have control and power over the city. Hades being a legacy title, so a title that's passed down from father to son. And in this world, like, they're just normal people. They just have political power, basically, based on those positions. So that's sort of an idea of the world that they're in. Neon Gods, again, has kink elements to it. There's exhibitionism, voyeurism, that sort of stuff that's happening in there, and that's important to talk about when we go to talk about Electric Idol, because there's some things that are interesting about that as a series as a whole. So I really enjoyed this. I think I gave it like 3.75 or maybe 4 stars. It was a good one, but we're here to talk about Electric Idol today.
So you may be asking, what is the story of Electric Idol? Who are we rooting for here, if not Hades and Persephone, which is the big one? Well, this time around we get Eros, who is the son of Aphrodite, and Psyche, who in this story is one of Demeter's other daughters, so Persephone's sister. Keep track. There's a lot of family things happening. So Aphrodite and Demeter are rivals in the political system that is this version of Olympus. And especially after things that happened in the Persephone and Hades book, they're even more at odds. And Psyche gets on the wrong side of Aphrodite by offering Eros, who is known as a big bad enforcer for Aphrodite, and ends up on the wrong side of her. And Aphrodite, being Aphrodite, is either go extra or go home. And instead of saying, hey, Eros, just kind of like spread a bad rumor about her or destroy her politically or socially, she's like, bring me her heart, as one does when one gets slightly annoyed with another human being. And Eros, being his mother's big bad enforcer, says, absolutely, I will definitely do this. And then he is like, wait, Psyche is in this position because she offered me a moment of kindness. Also, she is plus size, gorgeous, whip smart. Hang on a second, I don't want to kill her. I'm gonna marry her instead. As one does when put in this situation. So Eros, again, big, bad, grumpy enforcer, ends up into a forced marriage situation with Psyche, who was like, my life just went 0 to 60 real fast. And things spiral from there, because whenever Aphrodite is involved, things are gonna get more extra the further you get along.
As far as my overall review for this one goes, I gave this one 5 stars. I read it twice. I got the arc, I read it once, like a couple days later I was like, you know what, I'm gonna read this again. I read it again, just as good the second time. Super loved it. It was super enjoyable to me. It is very sweet. Like, where Neon Gods was a good romance, I liked the stuff that was going on in there. I liked the communication and the romance that was on in there. I like had some rough parts, mostly with the world building. In this one, I was like kind of okay with the world building at this point. I'd gotten used to it, and I was like, I'm just all here for these feels and these people. Eros is an adorable cinnamon bun. I love him. Psyche is very smart and also sweet, and it was a good romance. I enjoyed it. I loved it. It was great.
For me, I did rate Electric Idol higher than I rated Neon Gods. I also feel like they're two very different books, which we'll talk about. But whereas Michaela had issues with the world building, I think that Katee Roberts' take on this new kind of Greek god situation is one of the series' most interesting things, even if, like Michaela said, in some places it's kind of vague. And what I really loved about Eros and Psyche's story is that it really takes place within the political situation. For Persephone and Hades, they're both trying to escape and they're outsiders to the whole Olympus situation and they want nothing to do with it. But Eros and Psyche have no choice but to engage with it and create their public personas. And again, it is a forced marriage, so they're trying to pretend to be desperately in love while falling in love, as one does. And as Michaela said, it's just so sweet. It's so sweet. I did not rate it 5 stars. I rated it 4.5 for, again, reasons we'll discuss. But I mean, this entire review could just be us screaming, "So sweet!" That just really wouldn't be great for you because it would tell you nothing. But straight up off the bat, all of my problems are kind of nitpicky. So sweet.
Because this is a review, we are going to be talking about the issues that we had with this stuff. Again, keep in mind, I rated this 5 stars, but we're going to be talking about some of the negative stuff now. One of the things that I brought up when we were first talking about this book together was that Katee Roberts is less concerned as a writer with keeping a consistent tone across her series. And by that I mean Neon Gods is very kinky. Electric Idol has, as far as I'm concerned, zero kink. None at all. So if you're coming into this being like, yeah, it's a kinky series with all of these different kink things, not with this one. This one's like just a romance. It's like, I guess the kink being the caveat at the beginning that he was maybe going to kill her, but he doesn't do it. We know he just doesn't do it. So like there's no kink, and so that if you were like coming to this series looking for that, you are not going to find it here. It is not going to be happening in this book. The vaguest, kinkiest thing that they do is have sex in front of mirrors, which isn't even really kinky. So yeah, like she's more concerned as a writer of what tropes did this couple represent. So we have the forced marriage, we have the forced proximity, we have the fast romance type thing. So like if you're looking for kink, you're not going to find it here. If you're just looking for a good romance and you enjoyed the world building that she's created, and again, with this book, I got more of an understanding of what the world was like, and I had less issues with the world building at that point. It is definitely interesting and a new take on like a Greek god retelling for sure. Then come back to this. This is like a good book. I enjoyed it more than I liked Neon Gods, but there's some issues with tone. So again, set your expectations correct here when you're looking at this book.
Neon Gods was public orgy sex. Electric Idol is sweet strolls around the garden. It's a real big tonal change, but it also might mean that if you were not pumped about Neon Gods, you might like Electric Idol, or potentially vice versa if that's where you start. Again, this is real nitpicky, but it did bother me because of the repetition of it. Throughout the book, we are constantly being told that Psyche she's very whip smart. She's very thoughtful, and she presents herself to the world as a very frivolous social media influencer, when really everything about her public persona is very, very carefully thought out, and she's very self-aware about herself as a woman who is plus size and trying to be a social media beauty influencer. She has had to come to terms with how awful the internet is, and so she's again very emotionally mature, very self-aware. And she is also very aware about something with her, which is that she cannot disconnect sex and emotion. So whereas Eros is a lot of having sex with random people and not really feeling much attachment with it for reasons that are more complicated, but whatever, she doesn't do that. And so She says to Eros originally, like, yo, dude, we can't really have sex because I will get too emotionally attached. And then there is this repetition throughout the middle of the book where she's like, oh, I know this is a really bad idea, and then they bang. Or like, oh, I know he's really dangerous, but damn, he's sexy. And it was just like, because there was literally no pause between her being very emotionally mature about what she needs and that this is dangerous, and then she's immediately like, well, screw it, we're gonna go. I'll forgive you for this once because Eros is very cute. And also it's easy to forgive because you see from his angle that he really is developing feelings from her. But just purely from Psyche's side, the continuous hot and cold bit, the repetition of it, the fact that there was like no middle bit where she like changes her mind. She's just like, oh, this is a bad idea, but let's go. It bugged me. It made the middle kind of weird. And I was like, ugh, let's just get past this so you can both just be cute together, please. Again, it's very nitpicky, and I probably wouldn't noticed it if it happened just once or maybe twice, but it happened at least 3 times. And I was like, girl, just stop. Just don't.
My like nitpicky thing is more to do with characterization, and specifically with Eros's characterization, because up until like the very beginning of this book, what we know about Eros, he is a playboy. He does not commit to anybody. He's been with like random people, every like girl, boy, doesn't matter, back and forth, and he's only ever with them once. He's like never committing to anybody, and on top of that, he's this enforcer for his mom, and we know that he kills people, because in the scene where Psyche shows empathy towards him, he has just literally murdered another girl, like in cold blood. So the precedent for his mom to say, go kill Psyche makes sense. He is a murderer, will do it. But because Psyche was nice to him once, he's gonna show her mercy, I guess. But the Eros that we see, the Eros whose head we are in, is the sweetest, softest cinnamon bun boy who just wants to be nice and give Psyche something nice because she deserves it and he loves her so much. If you showed me this entire book without the bits where they talked about him being a murderer and said, do you think this man could murder someone in cold blood? I would say no. No, 100% not. That is the sweetest man. Maybe if somebody he cared about was threatened, he would kill somebody, but not just because he was told to. And I like morally gray characters. I wouldn't have an issue if he was more cold and gray throughout the course of this book, but we see him having rich relationships with friends, interesting perspectives on locations, and like he like has like a life and a backstory that doesn't really fit with cold, heartless killer. So there is that. If you are expecting that morally gray murderer romance, it's not really there. Did that affect my love for their romance? No, not at all. Again, I rated this book 5 stars. I enjoyed it. I loved it. It was sweet and I loved it. I will argue that there is some character issues there, that there was some telling of his being cold and heartless, and zero showing of it. There was no heartlessness in him that I could tell.
Again, these are wildly nitpicky things, and we recognize that. Michaela also does not entirely agree with my hot and cold statement. I agree more with her characterization statement. But here's what you do, y'all. You just pick up this book, and then you go, oh yeah, Eros killed a person, and then you forget about it. And you just enjoy, this is so sweet. And then you read. Again, if you liked Neon Gods because it was kinky, that will not be in this book, like Michaela said, but it will explore more of that world where if that was really interesting to you in Neon Gods, you will get more of that here. We are very excited to continue to read this series. We already have an arc of the 3rd book, which, as the 3rd book, has a trio in it. It is Helen of Troy / Helen, who is the new Zeus's sister. Again, remember, family things all over the place. Who is in a trio with Achilles and Patroclus. So can't wait to read that one, and Michaela and I will do a review of that, hopefully also on time, because wow, on time arc review. Proud of us. If you have read it, if you're excited about it, if you disagree, agree, if you just want to say hi, hit us up down in the comments and we will chat more with you there. But thanks for watching this for now.